It is 4 o'clock, and I call to order the Thursday, November 21st Board of Assessors meeting at the Lakeville Public Library. I do not see anyone here, so I'm assuming there is no public comment. And the only one recording, I'm assuming, is Lakecam. Is that correct?
Yep.
We have some minutes to approve from October 3rd that are being distributed, so if we could take a moment, review them, and I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve them as drafted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next agenda item. You got any bills you want us to sign there?
Yes.
Shine?
I'll just sign that and I'll put it back in the packet for Linda. Thank you.
Mason wants to get paid.
Deeds,
Register of deeds. Working right through this. We have some statutory exemption
We
reports
do,
there.
and I'll just start feeding you all the
There's 3 copies of the
assignables.
same thing. So.
Okay. Look at all of these exemptions. But they're statutory, so.
Registry recording fees are going up.
Yeah, $105. Unless
For
you're,
standard, yeah,
unless you're in Plymouth County, then they tack on a couple of extra.
$2 mailing fee.
It's the only county that does that, I believe.
Plymouth, Bristol adds $1. So if you're in Taunton or New Bedford or Fall River, they'll hit you for 76 instead of 75. And then Plymouth is 77. They're special. Yeah, it's everybody that has to record stuff is scrambling to get it on record before the
Right.
first of the year, because then it goes up by $30 or something a document.
Well, I think what's happened is so many people have come on board with the Community Preservation Act surcharge and the monies that are.
Okay, we have any monthly motor vehicle, boat, personal property?
3 copies of each.
3 copies. Yes, ma'am. Well, guess what? I must have stopped in.
That
'Cause
CPA, state CPA fund, I think is
Dwindling.
dwindling.
Yep.
pretty sure.
John, I just want to-
I did it that quick.
John, I just want to let you know, if you want, you can take items out of order. You have reserved that right here at the bottom.
Did you ask me to just shake it up?
I'm being a wise ass, I
You
think.
asked me to
Try
shake
to
it
get all
up,
the signing
Mr. Burke?
stuff done
I'm
first.
trying to, how about if I take it out of order and then that'll mess everything Carl has in his little folder
go
there.
ahead.
And then he'll have to shuffle around and,
You might be here
Do
until
something
midnight.
before signing, I guess is what I'm saying.
oh, I see what you're saying. Actually, that's a very good point. You know what, after I sign these, I'm gonna do that.
Consolidate this meeting even further.
Challenging me to get this over with in 15 minutes or less?
In
I'll accept the challenge. So,
some of my towns,
as we're signing, how about an update on the GIS? Seeing as how we just briefly spoke about it when I stopped by the office. If you want to bring everyone up to date that we had the
email I sent
presentation.
out?
What,
So-
just sent out?
So,
I didn't see it yet.
okay.
I'm not that
It's a
good.
draft.
Or that quick.
So 2 weeks ago, Cartographic Associates came to Lakeville to showcase our version of their Access GIS program. I think generally well received. We're at a point now where I think we're wanting to go live. In other words, this gets posted to the internet with GIS resources generally available to the greater world. There are contemplated some informational resources that will be kept under password protection to be viewed by department heads that have need for that information. But I sent an email out this afternoon to Cartographic Associates asking them to roll out Access GIS to the greater public.
And then I believe after that's up and done and we're live, we'll notify we'll notify the town administrator who will then.
I CC'd her on.
Okay. But just to follow, I think then what's going to happen is we're going to notify the town departments and they can actually continue to add to the database, so to speak, correct?
Right. So when we get past this tax rate setting season, sometime middle of December, I'll be reaching out to department heads in anticipation of the budget season, wherein some departments will want to have special content developed and posted to the GIS.
Let's see. While they're signing, well, let me see if I can jump around to Aaron's point. Proposed agreement for professional services. I want to wait to go over the classification document.
Yes, I do have a couple more items to sign.
Supplemental payments. Am I throwing you out of kilter here by jumping around?
Well, a little bit.
Good. Keep you on your toes, right? See? In unison.
We have an exemption denial that we're wanting you to sign. This is on a elderly exemption. However, the owner of the home who applied for the exemption has sold the house. We'd like to basically revoke the exemption.
They don't have the property anymore. These lines right here for us?
Yes.
Three.
It's funny that doesn't happen as a matter of course, right? If a property is sold, that an exemption just falls off.
It just goes to the next person.
I know, but you'd think that it would fall off and then it would be the burden of the new owner to request the exemption.
Of course, they would have to qualify.
Literally by July 1st.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no,
As it turns out, people that are present.
I guess your point is, why do we have to go through the formality of this?
Yeah.
If they sold it, it should just be
it should automatically
be done.
rescinded upon the sale of property, and it's the onus is on the new owner to
tidy up the paperwork, though, we need to take action on it, either to grant or.
Oh, no, I understand. I'm just kind of thinking out loud that
It's too bad we have to go
Copy
through
of
that
the deed is in
process.
the back.
Is this the original one?
Yeah, it was put in and got kicked out.
So I'm
Okay.
trying to remember on
We'll sign these
statutory
too.
exemptions, wondering, see, some actions we take, you're deemed approved if you hear nothing from the board. So,
Yeah, we sent out
and
a
I
letter.
can't remember if exemptions fall into that category or not, but like real estate abatements, you're presumed denied if you don't hear within the statutory 90 days. On the other hand, chapter applications, if you don't hear from the board, if you file an application, you don't hear from the board, you're presumed to qualify and approved.
Okay, so we're now that I've lost my place, jumping around.
Wait a second, did we all hear this?
Well, I didn't lose my place, but you're not following what I'm asking for. So I was going to proposed agreement for professional services. Is that what we're working on now?
You can.
We'll do that one, since that's what I said, and I have a check mark next to it, so.
So you'll recall, hopefully recall, a couple of months ago, I asked you to consider retaining Attorney Ambriano on
Yes, for the,
on a certain ATV case.
Yes.
Can't talk about it in open session, but this would be a contract to retain him.
Correct, and yes, we told him to start, but we wanted to make sure everyone was on let me ask a question, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hold this one, even though I went out of order, because to make sure everyone's up to speed, we may want to talk just briefly about who it is to refresh everyone's memory. So we're gonna hold proposed agreement, and then we're gonna go back to review tax classification here.
And this is printed double-sided. This is the very simple report that I'll be presenting Monday evening at the annual classification hearing scheduled at 5 o'clock. Is that right? 5 o'clock. And
Monday at the police station.
at the police station, okay. As you all know, and especially one of our former selectmen, this is all about establishing tax rates for residential and commercial properties. We've historically adopted a single rate, and I'm assuming that the board will continue in their desire to see or recommend that the selectmen adopt a single rate. Maybe we could get something on record to that effect, so I'm not speaking out of turn. Unless you have a different feeling. The argument that I'm going to make, not an argument, but the comment that I'll make is that it takes about roughly a 15% increase in commercial taxes to yield a 1% reduction in residential taxes. That because our commercial industrial property value sector is relatively small compared to the whole. We'll be raising $24,865,976, and given our valuations, which are generally increasing, we're anticipating a tax rate reduction from $13.30 to $13.06. Let me modify what I said before. A 7% increase in commercial taxes yields a 1% reduction. Did I say 13? I meant
15.
Yeah, 15.
Okay. That was last night.
Wow.
I've had about 10 classification hearings this week, and so the numbers are blurring a little bit, but they'll be fresh in my mind when I show up Monday evening. So this is the document I will present. Any of you inclined to show up Monday
I will be
evening?
there.
I can't make it on Monday.
Okay.
I have my children on Monday night, so.
Okay.
The only reason I'm asking, it doesn't matter to me, John, just it's for posting. So did we already post?
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so it's irrelevant whether you show up or not. Make it would be great.
So for the sake of aiding in this process, I will move that we recommend a
Continue.
tax rate that is a single payer rate for Lakeville for 2020.
I'll entertain a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. So we can bring that recommendation, official recommendation, to the meeting with us on Monday.
Good. That takes us
Now to, let's see, tax title research project.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've met Matt Larson. He's a younger person on our staff.
I think a couple of weeks ago, I happened to stop by Town Hall for something, and I met him briefly. I was kind of rushing in and out, but I did take 2 minutes to
I think you've met him too.
poke my head in.
Yeah, it was one of the 3 times I've been in there since I've been elected. He happened to be working that day, so.
So Matt's an interesting fellow. He summer interned with us for a couple of years, and post-graduate school, having received a master's degree in history, he's now
Working for you.
working for me until he figures out where he can get a teaching gig. And but that being said, he's a smart fellow. I'm training him up to do some title work for us here and there. And as one of his first assignments, I wanted to let him loose on that long list of tax title properties that you might recall
I do
we
remember
talked
that,
about
yes.
a couple of years ago. So he's going to be starting to chip away at that list, basically doing the research, making sure that we've got established a good chain of title on the property. I'm asking him to go out and inspect the property, basically build a file that he and I will sit down and review, and we'll come back to you all for recommendations on how to move forward to clear
Okay.
up.
That sounds good to me. Long overdue. I think, yes, that list is rather lengthy.
100-some properties.
Yeah, so. Any questions? Okay, the boat excise tax agenda item. So, if memory serves me correctly, we had a decent discussion on this last time, and I wanted to bring it back so that there would be public notice, at least in the form of on our agenda. And anybody who cares to watch Lakeville would have seen our brief discussion about it last time, so that potentially we can take some action on it tonight. So if you don't mind, Harold, just kind of
Yeah,
refresh
let
us
me-
as to where we are.
So we sent out our annual boat excise billing, a commitment that came to about $11,275. 4 months later, we've collected $4,600 of that, well short of the full commitment. There's about $6,000 still due and owing. Demands have gone out twice, and basically little or no response, or very little response subsequent to those warrants. It begs the question that we asked at the last meeting: how much is this all worth, given the fact that our collection rate's less than 50%? The cost to process, to have Randy Mercier take the raw file, run the conversion, is what, about $1,500?
Yeah, around there.
Around $1,500. Additionally, there's a boat module that is part of our Munis license. There's an add-on for the boat excise module. I don't remember what that runs, but it's probably another $1,000. So $2,500 to collect $4,600.
Which doesn't take into account the manpower and the number of people who come in. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, not that it's the only issue, but one of the significant issues is a lot of these, people don't even own anymore because the state has an antiquated system that they can't keep it updated. So we have people every year coming in. So even though, whatever you said, it was 11,000 and change, it's really not 11,000 and change. It's 11,000 and change in our system, but it could potentially be 8,000 or 7,000 and change that we could potentially collect because there's a whole bunch of boats out there that we're taxing that
They don't have.
they don't have. I mean, when people
So they
register them, they
cancel
make
them.
it on, but they
Or
never make it off.
potentially boats that we should be taxing that aren't.
Yeah.
Although I think most of the boats that get registered do get on. Now, if someone's not registering them,
But often they're registered to another town when they should rightfully be.
I
Or
got you.
sometimes they
But-
cancel the registration, but it
but-
still
but
says it's an
the-
active file and they still bill
The
it.
problem, plain and simple, is that the state's database is so faulty and riddled with.
Maybe the amount we collect is the amount of boats that really
at the end of the day,
are out
yeah.
there.
So-
But I like this lesson though. If you just don't pay your taxes, the government will stop taxing you. Right? Is that what we're going with?
Well, I'm
So
gonna
that's a political decision. I don't
I'm
make
gonna
that.
No, I get it, but
I'm gonna
that's
ask my
kind of the-
fellow board member to not pay his real estate taxes for the next few years and see if that works. out.
Right. I mean,
Because if it does,
there is a nice enforcement mechanism for real estate
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah.
so. But having said that, again, the reason I wanted to bring this back was so that if there were anyone from the public who wanted to comment on it or had an opinion, I wanted to give them an opportunity. And I believe you told me this is within our purview as the board to, and I think my personal, I know my personal feeling, but I think you said it was possible for us to vote to, and I'm not sure exactly how we do this, suspend this and not completely get rid of it, because at some point if the state gets their act together.
I don't think you could take action that would fly in the face of a tax that could be levied by the town. But I think to your point, suspending the taxation of these boats until we get a decent database. Frankly, I think 3/4 of the boards of assessors across the Commonwealth have already taken that action.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to suspend taxing
Without pay.
Well, for the future.
for the future, yes. For the next cycle, how's that? Does that make sense? For the next cycle, I don't know if I need to incorporate until such time we feel the system is corrected or the state is, do you have any recommendations on exactly how?
So when I have nothing better to do, I might spend some time contemplating how a better system would work.
Well, it's not our system, it's the state system. If they get their stuff straightened out, then it makes our life easy, then we can really track it the right way.
The way auto excise and boat excise and all of this works in a lot of states is that the state issues the bill. The state collects the money and then turns over through the equivalent of a cherry sheet the dollars that are
Entitled to the town.
Yeah. And that, in my mind, that's the sensible way of dealing with it. You got one database, one set of folks that deal with taking the payments, gunning people that don't, and then they turn over the dollars to us.
Okay. All right, I'm not going to entertain anything. I'm just going to make a motion that we suspend boat excise tax the next cycle. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Before we go into executive session, do we have any other business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board?
None.
Okay. I'm going to shorten up our executive session portion here and ask for a motion to go into executive session in regards to talking about
ATV litigation.
Yeah, ATV litigation, and to not return to open session. Do I have a motion? Anyone? Someone make a motion.
I'll move that forward.
We have a second.
Second.
We're going to skip the roll call. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye. Burke.